Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ghost XP. Welcome to our podcast.
Hello.
My name is Penxue.
And I'm Kong. Yep.
Today's episode, we are going to go off of some online research stories that we found.
Yep.
And,
we're gonna just basically hang out and tell ghost stories. So,
yeah.
Penxue and I, we did research some ghost stories to tell.
And I hope you guys get a little bit of a spook at the end of the night. So, we thank you guys so much for listening, and we're going to give you all some stories, and we'd like to hear your thoughts at the same time. So make sure you guys comment and let us know.
Yep. All right, Penxue. I guess you can go first. What's one of the ghost stories?
Our first one, let's make it more like a local one. This one's coming right off of Minnesota. So for those of you that live in Minnesota, this is coming in between Inner Grove Heights and St. Paul Park, a little close to Woodbury. This one is called Gray Cloud Island.
Gray Cloud Island?
Yeah.
Okay.
Gray, so like Greyhound. It's it's a Gray Cloud Island. It's population of only 301.
What?
301.
Wait, where's that at again? 301 population?
Yeah, but it's not really, technically it's not an island, it's like a peninsula. It's body with 3 sides of body of water, and they decided to call it island. But it's been around for a very long time in Minnesota, and dating back in the 1700s. This island was it's like a sacred place for natives back then, and apparently it's known as one of the biggest burial mounds in the U.S. for natives. There was this, I guess they call it a spiritual tree. People went there for not like a spiritual guidance, but it's more like a tree that can interact between both worlds. So it's like a portal, I guess you could say, in a way.
Okay.
Some people think mirrors a portal, and to them, this tree was like a special gift to them that they can interact and do, travel between both worlds or communicate. More like a communication portal, I guess you could say. But anyways, the paranormal side of the things is that this place, again, it's like one of the biggest burial mounds out there, right? And so apparently there's this dude. He is like a chief back then. I don't exactly know his name. I'm sure he's probably got his own mounts out there or something. I guess to this day, people keep saying that they see his spirit there. He appears in green.
Interesting.
Well, they say
like the ghost in Ghostbusters.
well, I guess it's because he carries a lantern, and every time people do spot him, when people do see him, they say he's like a green figure with a green lantern, or they call it like a green ghost orbs. I don't know if you're a fan of ghost orbs.
Yeah, I'm trying to picture it.
Yeah,
so it is like Ghostbusters.
yeah, pretty much. And so the people would say that's one of the most common thing that people will see, entity that they see there. And there's people talk about nuns. There's apparently 12 nuns that I don't know if this is real. But from my research, people said there's actually tombs of nuns that actually used to live there.
Bro, that sounds so familiar. I think I've heard that a little bit.
Yeah,
before.
there's like people say 12 nuns that I've never been there, so I can't tell you guys that I know this for sure. But they said at least 12 nuns have been buried there too, and they have their own tombs and all that. So sometimes people see nuns, and they see that chief. I guess we call him the green orb guy.
Okay.
And they keep talking about this white truck or a white car that appears out of the mist. I don't think it's... Well, I guess from my research, I've seen that people kept saying it's just people that comes in, drives around with a white truck. They try to kick them out instead of actually being a ghost. It's actually a person that's protecting the island.
Okay.
Like
a neighborhood watch.
Yeah, like a pretty much a neighborhood watch that comes in there and be like, yo, you guys got to get out of here. We don't want your business, or you don't want you ghost hunters to come here, because I guess they see ghost hunters frequently and they're just kind of tired of it. And so there's like, but rumors and all that. Internet says that it's a pretty active spot. But now it's very secure and it's very private. 301 population, and they just want their peace too. So
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, well,
Wait, but so they don't see anything about Native American ghosts.
yeah, well, they see the chief guy and
Okay.
and the nun is in the mix too, which I don't understand how the nun got there. I try to I was digging upon
Trying
it
to
and
spread
yeah, right. And I was like, how is
The
that
message
possible?
of
It's not like it's a big island. It's
missionaries.
like a big island, but it's it's pretty small to fit 301 people. It's,
Yeah.
and
I gotta look that up. That sounds interesting.
yeah. Again, it's Great Cloud Island. It's in Minnesota, so in the Grove Heights and St. Paul Park. So yeah, pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. All right.
That's our first story
Okay.
of the night. So.
Good first warm up. I guess next up is another story in the Midwest, more so South Wisconsin, and I'll be reading this story from the perspective of the person who wrote it. This one I call Haunted Road in South Wisconsin. Supposedly there's this haunted road in South Milwaukee, Oak Creek, called Fitzsimmons Road. Well, we'd always go down there to drink a couple beers, walk this long road which leads to the lakefront. I'm not native to the Wisconsin, so my ex thought it was the coolest thing ever to see if we'd see any ghosts or anything weird. So we went often till the neighbors kept calling the cops. Ended with us getting tickets most of the time. We stopped after that, but supposedly the road is haunted by some crazy lumberjack or some racing track, which people died at the cliff. Well, one day I had a new girlfriend, so we went down there with my newfound scary knowledge. Why not, right? Well, the first couple times we went off the trail, and we found hot spots in the woods. Spooky, but nothing serious. It was like fall type weather where some leaves were brown, but trees still had leaves. The fields to the right were cut recently and was empty, but the left side had short vegetation. One night we went with the same weather conditions and it was pitch black. We were walking down the long road when we kept seeing something in the air. We figured it was a bat. But we kept seeing it was making some kind of noise, like an owl or something. We ignored it until I saw something white run across the road. It ran right to the left, across the pavement road. And it was this white figure and it was fast. At this exact moment, I stopped in my tracks and I told and asked my girlfriend if she saw it. She didn't. I was pretty scared, even though I don't believe in the supernatural. I didn't want to be a pussy or seem weak, so we rationalized it and logically determined that it was an albino deer. We kept walking and past where I saw it ran by. This is where we heard crunching to the left side of the woods, where this white thing went. We were hearing branches break, leaves being stepped on. She was like, it's a deer, right? And we kept walking. The breaking of the branches followed us. When we stopped, it stopped. So I grabbed her hand, we ran back towards the car, and the sound followed us to the edge of the woods. When and where the woods ended, it was an open field of vegetation, and we no longer heard anything as we sprinted back to the streetlight by some railroad track. Well, we were very scared and left immediately and haven't been back since 10 years together. I still don't believe in the supernatural, but whatever that was, what it was, we still live in the area, like 15 minutes away, but I doubt we'd ever go back there at night. And that's the end of that story. A simple, local, warm-up ghost story, I would say.
So what do you call what do you think that white, I guess you say white entity is?
Man, bear, pig, nah. It definitely could be something, man. I've heard a lot of stories where people go out in the forest and they would hear something following them, and they'll look around and they don't see an animal. So I think it's definitely something.
Well, you think of the land of the Midwest, you think of anything that's white, that's an animal, that's out in the forest. What can you even think of?
The only logical one is a deer, an albino deer.
You think about it, right? There's no such thing as polar bears up in Minnesota. I get it, it's cold, but in the Midwest,
Yeah.
There's really no white fur animals that's in the Midwest, other than maybe some coyotes. But they might seem white at night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or even if you beam a car at them, I guess if you beam a car at anyone, you could kind of see it as being white instantly because of LED lights and stuff, right? I don't know, but that
is interesting.
Yeah.
They ran and they heard something running with them or following them,
right,
even
exactly.
they ran. What if it was just them hearing each other?
Hey, stop! One person stops like a 1 second delay.
Yeah, that's funny.
Oh gosh! And where is it at exactly in Wisconsin? Is this like
It says south of Milwaukee, Oak Creek, Fitzsimmons Road. Yeah.
So for those of you that are listening, if you guys will want to give some facts for us and go out there, no, I'm just kidding. Please don't do it.
Check it out for us, please.
Oh gosh. Well, since we're talking about roads, that was a good one, Kong. I guess in a way, is it more of a? I guess my question is it more of like the forest itself, or does it have like some kind of interaction with the road itself?
That's why I wonder too.
Yeah, right. Is it?
I mean, it always seems like forest, nature stuff has some community of spirits, or some people call elementals.
I guess the forest itself has its own spirit.
Yeah. Some forest itself, nature itself has its own spirits, or what people call elementals.
Yeah.
I think from what I know about elementals is it's like natural spirit entities of its own. If you believe in that is. But
yeah. I guess that makes sense. Shoot, I kind of wish they actually caught that on a photo or something so we can see it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't think I ever want to go down there and find out myself.
Yeah. That's one of my worst nightmares is going hiking in the nature and either a bear or it's a ghost.
Yeah. I mean, let's say if you were hiking by yourself and next thing you know, you start hearing footsteps behind you too. Do you as a person, Kong, do you actually turn back around and look, or do you just say, I'm going to mind my own business, turn up my volume, and keep going forward?
I would look, because I think my first natural instinct is, I think I want to make sure that it's not a mountain lion or a bear. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'll definitely look. So
you're a person that if you were to go hiking or anything, or even camping, right? You're more cautious of your surrounding than anything else. You kind of want to know for security.
Yeah, I think like I said, my worst nightmare is like a bear or a mountain lion is stalking me while I'm hiking.
I know there's some people out there would have been like, if I hear something behind me, nope, I'm gone.
Or like some people ignore it and they act like they don't hear it. Yeah,
and then they get the worst end of the.
They get eaten by the bear.
Sorry, y'all. I'm joking about this. I'm sure. For me personally, I like to look. I always check my surrounding. I know people might say you're being Hollywood. Or horror movies, but sometimes you just kind of
gotta do it. Yeah, you gotta be safe. You gotta know what it is.
Man. Yeah. What if it's like a friend or something?
Yeah. What if it's like a serial killer, bro?
Yeah, right.
Damn.
Don't know. Ooh, shit. Yeah, that's crazy though. Yeah. So since Kong's talking about the nature and stuff, and supernatural stuff happening out on the outside, I do have one. I'm gonna skip this one too. It's called Suscon Screamer.
Okay. Before you get into that, let's cheers.
Oh, heck
yeah. If you guys are listening and you guys drink or whatever, cheers with us. Cheers.
Mm-hmm. It's only 1+.
All right. Sorry to interrupt.
This video right here, we will have a bouncer checking for IDs. But anyways, this is called Suscon Screamer.
Okay.
This is coming right off of Pittstown Township. It is in the U.S. It's, I guess, more of a sense. It's not like it's kind of like a legend. I don't know what people would. Some people believe in legends, some people don't. Right, so it's kind of like a folklore or whatever.
Where's this legend at?
Again, it's at Pittston Township. I'll give you a little bit of a background of it. How's that? So according to the legend, if you go to this bridge, and apparently if you stop by the bridge and you honk 3 times, it has to be 3, it can't be 2, I guess.
It's always in threes, man.
It's always in threes. You know what the three is? The Trinity. It marks the demon.
Yeah.
But this is the
Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost.
Yes, exactly. This is the bridge.
Whoa, that bridge look creepy, bro.
Yeah, so if you drive underneath, you guys should see it on the screen.
We'll put it on the screen.
So if you drive underneath it and you stop underneath the bridge, you honk 3 times. Apparently, she pops up in the back of your car.
Damn.
Yeah, and she screams. So she's known. That's why it's called the Susquehanna Screamer, because she goes back in your car and she screams. Me personally, I don't. It's kind of like a Bloody Mary, I guess you could call it, right? Turn the lights a Bloody Mary,
Don't say that. Yeah. I think you said it 3 times already. Shit!
Turn the lights.
Yo,
that's like the one of those. That's like what I say. It's kind of like a superstition, more like a I don't know what you call it, a legend or folklore. But there actually is some crazy stuff that happened around this story too, which is kind of crazy. We're gonna get into it. But you guys are probably wondering, who is she? Who is this lady in the white dress? Right? Yeah, right. Some say she's a young bride, pregnant and full of hope, but abandoned at the altar and driven to despair. So maybe something might have happened to her in the midst of being pregnant, and because of that, she kind of went, you fell into depression. Who knows, right? Other claim she ran away from a nearby mental institution and ended her life at the bridge. So you see that too.
Sad.
Yeah, but more of a modern variation suggests that she was a teenager killed in a car crash on prom night.
Also sad.
Yeah, which kind of that one, I guess, but I don't know where that township is at, so I don't even know they have prom over there. They probably do. But that will be a very tragic story of her dying, and it happens to be she got into like some kind of crash underneath that bridge, right? Now this one is a little bit different. There's an incident that did take place. It took place right around the area, right? So on the night of September 30th, 15 years old Patricia, and this is back in the 1950s, or a little bit, not during this modern time. She was hitchhiking, right? So today we don't do that. She's 15 years old, hitchhiking along the Susquehanna Road when she accepted a ride from a 26 years old called David Ash. David Ash ended up picking her up, accepted her hitchhiking. She accepted it. She sat in the back car of the seat. This guy was just crazy. He had a blade on him or some kind of an item. And what he ended up doing was, after he picked her up, he slashed her throat.
Damn.
Kill her in his car. And then he ended up dumping her body on the road of Susquehanna. So it was very close to the bridge. It's about like 300 feet away. So some people say that ever since the lady in the white dress, that story itself was already happening, and then for that case to happen too, so it kind of add on to the whole entire. It ended up added on to the whole entire, the supernatural of, I guess the stories of
more to the lore.
Yeah, I guess you could call it that. Yeah. And and so because of that, it was a report around this time that it was around this time that reports of screaming women intensified. In the decades since, travelers have reported chilling encounters and icy presence in the back of their seats, footsteps along the gravel on the road, and a woman in white drifting through the trees, and of course that one scream that she normally does. So again, if you honk 3 times, she's in the back of your seat, she's screaming, right? So that is another thing she's, I guess, notorious for. But I want to say, at the end of the day, if you guys do want to test it out or not,
let us know.
I want to say, whatever you do, don't honk 3 times.
Damn.
Don't honk 3 times, otherwise you're asking for it. So.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's creepy. Again, it's if you guys are interested, it's in Penxue Township. The road is.
What state is that?
I'm trying to remember, but
it's all right.
But it's on Susquehanna Road. It is actually a road itself.
Yeah.
So Suscon
Dang.
road. Yeah. So yeah,
that's creepy. Okay, that's a good folk tale ghost story. I guess transitioning here, we all know that there's a place that is pretty haunted, and that is the hospitals. So I do have this person here who shared her experiences as a nurse in the hospitals. I think she does have 3 experiences she shared, but I think we can just kind of talk between those 3 stories, I guess, and reflect on them. So we can go. This next segment I categorize as nurse ghost stories or ghost experiences. All right. Like any other hospital, people pass away and their spirits sometimes linger. Or maybe it is just a fragment of them that remains behind. Something that science can't explain yet. There have been more than a few events that have raised the hair on the back of my neck, and some have sent me into hysterical screaming fits. But those types of reactions are frowned upon in the hospital, so I try to stay calm. There was that time a few months ago when a patient told me she felt like there were 3 other people in the ward room with her, in each of the other 3 beds around her. They were talking back and forth, whispering, she said, but the weird thing was, she was alone in the 4-bedroom. I pulled back the curtains and showed her myself. All of the other beds were empty, and there were no visitors or staff in the room with her. As if that weren't disturbing enough, a few weeks later a different patient said the exact same thing when she had been left alone in the same room. She described it exactly the same way, saying they were whispering back and forth and it was keeping her awake. I felt a chill up my spine when she told me that, but reassured her that the room was empty and she simply was imagining things. People have enough to worry about when they were recovering from surgery. We don't need them fretting about specters and ghosts when they should be worried about physio and discharge appointments, lifting restrictions, and medication adjustments. So we keep these stories to ourselves. Some nurses said they can't sleep in a certain storage room during breaks on night shifts, since they have too many bad experiences there. When I asked them about it, they said they'd had bad dreams and felt like someone was in the room with them, standing over them while they slept. I didn't believe in those things myself, so I slept in there on the night shift and found out firsthand why nobody else wanted to use it as a nap room. I had the most realistic waking dream I've ever had, where I had woken in a storage room and felt like someone was there with me, watching me from the corner of the room, their dark outline visible in the dim room. When I went to turn on the lights, they didn't work, and the door didn't open. And for some reason, in my dream, which seemed like reality, I chose to lie back down and go to sleep again. While the thing kept closer and closer, vanishing, only to reappear just above me. It felt like my eyes were open the whole time. And I was forced to watch, paralyzed as it hovered over the top of me, for what felt like hours. I was watching me while I slept as I struggled and was unable to move. I finally came to my senses and finished my break early, going back to work and trying to forget about the horrible experience, but I refused to sleep in the room again. Yeah, I guess that was the first 2 stories that this nurse had experienced. So the first one, I guess her patients they saw like 3 other people in the room whispering.
Ends up being no one though, right?
Yeah, it was just only that patient in that 4-bedroom, so that's pretty creepy. And then this next one, she slept in the room that...
Is it the same? This is
the same person. Yep, okay. She's just telling me multiple experiences she had in the hospital. Yeah, pretty creepy. My wife, she works in the hospital too, or clinics, and there was a time where she did work in a busy hospital, and she worked like on call, so they had a room for her to stay in to sleep over the night. And I think thankfully she didn't experience anything like this.
Sheesh, I think the hospital is probably I hate to say it, but I think it's you know how people think that portal you can travel between both worlds, right? I feel like hospital is the biggest portal.
Ooh, I agree.
Yeah, right.
There's so many deaths there, so many births and deaths there that yeah.
You gotta think about it though. If you're the Grand Reaper, your full-time job is at the hospital. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're at the hospital 24/7 because some people live, some people don't, and you're just there all the time. So I would assume Grand Reapers, if people do believe in that, that dude's probably standing over there the whole time, you know?
Whew, yeah, that's creepy.
If you were to get into some kind of incident where you have to be hospitalized, right?
Yep.
Any kind of situation, it could be stroke, crash, or just health condition, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would you ever, I guess this is going against HEPA, but would you ever want to be in a room with other people? Would you be okay with that? Or would you prefer to have your own room, which is you getting care of?
See, that's tough, right? I have been in hospitals for a longer time, but when I was younger, I had like a chronic asthma condition that took me to the hospital a lot, and I had to stay there for like at least a week or so. And I think at that time, being young and not really thinking about this spiritual stuff, I preferred my own time or my own room, just for my own privacy. But man, I feel like I'm 50-50 because I feel like if I'm alone, I would be a little bit scared. But if I have another room with someone else, what if they're like, they're seeing stuff, you know?
I already know where this is going.
You know, right? Like, what if the other person is like, oh, why are you here? Start talking to themselves in the middle of the night, and you're like, what the hell?
And then they have like the current covering them, so you kind of see like you don't see the foot of them,
bro.
And then like the next day, you're like, oh, this dude's talking too much. The next thing you wake up, you pull the current, the person's not even there,
bro. You were alone the whole time. I was thinking that.
Jeez, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it's scary.
Yeah. I guess from my take on hospitals, our good friend, one of our good friend, he worked with Abbott healthcare, and at that time I happened to be working at the same hospital with him too, and so this has nothing to do with them, but at the same time it's just kind of more like a validation. But there were times where I had to do night shift at a hospital, construction wise, fixing AC, right? And during the day is too occupied and patients are awake, so the best time to work on AC or air conditioning was to do it during night when people are asleep, right?
Sense.
Yeah, right. So there's a few times where I didn't know about this. I didn't know too much about it, but I didn't know that they store a lot of the bodies that are. I knew about this, but I didn't know exactly where it was located at that hospital, right? And so on the back of the hospital where they do deliveries, there's also an elevator at this hospital. I won't say the name of the hospital, but there was also an elevator that took them all the way down to. We were already ground level, so it took them to the basement, right? And this is where they store all the bodies before they send it out to the funeral homes. Funeral homes, right? And so one time, my boss, he actually told me to go fix something that was way down those rooms. Air conditioning, we had to provide it. It has to maintain code.
Creepy.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And so he told me, hey, you got to take that one elevator. And I remember exactly, there was almost like a limousine-looking car, but those are funeral cars, right? He was backing up and he was taking a body, and they threw the body. It was in a body bag, whatever. They threw it into the back of the car. And so I'm like, so this is where they store it. And then my boss, like a month later, my boss goes, hey, you got to go down that one elevator, to go down there because I need you to fix something, right?
Damn.
And I'm like, I got to go down the elevator. I know where that elevator leads me to, right? And I'm like, I was just like, oh gosh, all right, sure. I brought my ladder with me, a few tools with me, and I went down that elevator. The whole time I'm just like, I'm just gonna look up. I'm not gonna look. Bro. I'm not gonna look straight ahead of me. I'm not gonna look behind me. I'm just gonna look up.
I think of that scene in The Eye, bro.
Yeah,
she was in the elevator and something was behind her.
Exactly, that too. Freaking these movies ruin our.
Yeah, the movie The Eye, classic Chinese horror movie.
Yeah, exactly. And and that's just the scary part. Is good thing nothing happened. I went down there, fixed a few things, moved a few diffusers and whatever, right? It was good to go. And
That's good.
That's the fast. I told y'all that's the only one time I work the fastest, the hardest.
For real. Ooh, that's scary.
You know, and it went back up. My own business. Came home, slept, and said, "Yeah, I'm not thinking about this anymore." But it's scary. Hospitals are scary, and I tell you, it's a different environment at night. It is. During the daytime, everybody's moving so fast. Nothing, you don't think much about it. But nighttime, it's like super. It's weird to not see anyone. At night, it's super quiet.
You don't want to see anyone because you might not know if that is really someone.
Yeah, it's a big ass building. No one's there. No one's getting wheeled or anything like that. And it's super quiet, and all you hear is like beep, beep, beep.
Yeah. So. Brought me back to my days as a kid in the hospital. Yep.
So
that noise is true.
Scary stuff.
Okay, damn. Thanks for sharing that.
But that was a good story, man. And I believe those nurses. I'm sure a lot of doctors and nurses have their own stories of it too. It would be pretty cool if we ever, one time we ever get them tell their stories on the show.
Yep, for sure.
Well, with Kong's story with hospital, I have a story that involves a little bit of hospital. This one is more of it has some controversial that goes behind it too. And it's actually pretty popular. If you guys remember the movie The Exorcist, 1970s Hollywood
classic.
The lady coming down the stairs doing Spider-Man. That was before Spider-Man was born. Okay, jokes aside. But you guys remember her? It's a classic. She does the head 360 and right? And she's
fuck man.
Yes, exactly.
Wrong
scary movie. She says fuck me in the scary movie. The priest is like, all right, I will. Yeah. Okay, this is the real story of behind the movie The Exorcist of the 1970s. Right? Okay. So this one is it takes place at a few hospitals. I'm actually gonna shorten it up because it's a lot. All right. So I guess the case was based off of a dude, a guy, not actually the girl. For those that didn't know, it was actually based off of a little boy.
I think I remember that's true. Yep, it's a boy, not a girl. Yep.
And his name is Roland Doe. All right. His name's been changed a few times. I'm not gonna try to make it more confusing for you guys, but I'm just gonna call him as Roland. All right, simple enough. He has a lot of names, but they call him Roland Doe. And sad to say, he recently passed away. So
he lived all this time.
Yeah, he actually I did not know that. Lived a happy life after the exorcisms. Wow. So we'll get into that. But so Roland Doe, this whole entire exorcism, the whole franchise, the movie, was based off of an incident that happened in the 1940s. This is in Washington, D.C., so we all know that capital. It turns out that Roman grew up in a German family. He was the only child of that time, so he kind of, I guess, he depended a lot on adults for his playtime. He didn't have any sister brothers, so his auntie was one of his favorites in the family because she was the one that was always watching, taking care of him, and so to him, his auntie meant everything, right? Parents are always busy working, whatever, right? And so one day, well, let's backtrack a bit. The auntie, her last name is Harriet. And one day she found that he was interested in some of the supernatural stuff, like a Ouija board. She's a spiritualist, someone who does things that involve the other side of the world. She's really into that stuff. And then I guess it was like an introduction to him about what she does, and then he was a little interested in it. And this is all the age of him being 13. And so she was like, oh, so I see that you kind of have a little bit of interest of the other world. Hold on, I'll introduce you to the Ouija board. Right? And you kind of tell where it's going, right? And so he goes, yeah, I like to learn that, pretty much. And she taught him all about it, how you communicate with the other world with this board. Some people don't believe it. If you don't believe it, that's fine. But for them, they did. And in this instance, they did. So he ended up playing with the Ouija board. They did a few sessions, and next thing you know, eventually she passed away fairly quickly. In 1949, she ended up passing away. And so he was really upset. He went to, he wasn't depressed, but I guess he probably was, but he was just, really sad that pretty much his best friend passed away. So right after her passing, the auntie Harriet, he started experiencing a little bit of paranormal activity, I could say. Like footsteps, he'll hear them at night, and this all happens at night, not during the daytime. So he'll hear like footsteps, he'll hear furniture's moving, like if you guys ever hear like a desk moving, at night, and he'll hear scratching on the walls, and he'll stuff like that. So paranormal activity, a little bit of stuff, and at first he didn't think much about it, but afterwards he was like, wait, my auntie just passed away not that long ago. Maybe she's always taught me about this Ouija board. Maybe she's trying to communicate with me, or wants me to communicate. So he does the unthinkable. What does he do? Pull out the Ouija board and tries to communicate.
No.
It's pretty bad, but he tries to communicate, and I guess he got some answers, but we don't really know if he got the right answer from the auntie or not, right? At that case, it's kind of like a ball toss. Anyone can pick it up, right?
Yep.
And so he went with it, and he thought it was his auntie, and he communicated, thinking things were going to be fine, and weeks passed, and it got a lot worse. It started affecting his health somehow. So they started affecting his health. They went to hospital a few times, tried to get all sorts of kind of treatments, and no treatments end up working. I guess during the day, from what the parents described, was during the day he was fine, but at night he gets really aggressive, very aggressive, and he'll actually talk at a deeper voice, like an older adult male.
It's creepy. Yeah.
Not kid's voice. A 13 years old, come on now, right? We could tell the difference between a 40 years old man talking to a 13 years old. Like you tell the difference, right? So his voice started changing. He was just more aggressive, and he started getting scratches around his body, and so they were like, you know what, it's getting worse, medication is not working, treatment, it's not working, let's call our local priest and see what's going on. And so they did call the local priest. What happened was one of the local priests actually said, hey, for those of you that are watching, this might sound a little weird, but he was like, hey, why don't you spend the night at my place so that I can observe what's happening with you. I want to make sure if it's actually poltergeist activity or you're playing around, right? Just to make sure, he's actually, to confirm things, validate things, right? And so the boy was like, okay, sure. He goes to his house. The very first night, he goes over there, and the guy some of his stuff started levitating or moving. His furniture started moving again, right? I mean, not again, but his furniture started moving. He's like, hold on, before you guys came here, you told me that your house, your furniture was moving. But all of a sudden you come over here now, my furnitures are moving, and that don't normally happen, right? So then he's like, we'll get you approved next thing in the morning. You should be good. And so the boy being aggressive at night and all that stuff, he got approved for a bunch of sessions of exorcism, and that did happen. Really short, pretty much he got a lot of sessions and a lot of priests from different states. He ended up doing a lot of his exorcisms in different states too, because there were scratches that were illustrating, like, for example, one of the thing that I read was the mother found out that the demon scratched Lewis on his chest or somewhere in his body.
Damn.
And the mother was from St. Louis, and so the mother was like, oh, that means I gotta go to St. Louis, take him to St. Louis, because apparently she has some relative that was into the priesthood and stuff, so maybe they could help him out, in which they did help him out. So it was a lot of moving around, traveling, and one of their session, I guess at the beginning of every session, the priest would tie him into the bed. They kind of knew that whatever's possessing him would always shake the bed, and it will always try to make him levitate, right? And so for that, they tied him down for his own safety, right? So this one time, Roland hands actually slipped out of the the bed ties, right? And so he actually dug behind the mattress bed spring. He pulled one out and he actually cut the priest's arm.
Oh.
Yeah, he took it out. He started cutting the priest, and he managed to cut the priest's arm. And then the priest was like, "Oh gosh, like, oh crap, we gotta stop this ritual. It's getting too violent." So they did stop that one. And another incident was Roland ended up, while he was tied to his bed, the furniture's in his room. He had a little couch, like a one-seater or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
In his room, and this furniture started moving on its own, and it got tossed across the map, and not the map, it got tossed across the Call of Duty reference. Ghost XP. Ghost XP. He got the furniture got tossed, and it ended up hitting the two priests that was helping him, and then they ended up it knocked the wind out of them pretty much, and that was another crazy encounter that they had with Roland. And so, yes, like the movie did show, the things that did happen was that he did vomit a lot. He didn't vomit at the priest's face. These were just occurrences that happened in these other sessions, right? He vomited, and he ended up spitting, vomiting, urinating, you name it, right? He didn't eat a lot too because of that whole entire incident. And I read, and they say that there was a number 10 that was scratched on his stomach, and I guess he was possessed by 10 demons.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
I did not know that.
So that was another thing too. I don't know if they have that on document, but that's one thing that I read about, and it came up quite a bit. So pretty much at the end of his last session was. The priest decided to lay some holy relics and crucifix upon Roland and asked to battle Satan for the boy's soul.
Oh wow!
He said I guess he was just tired of it. And 7 minutes later, though, the boy came back to his senses and simply told them, "He's gone. Satan's gone," pretty much.
So they won.
Yeah, they won in 7 minutes. Since that last battle, Roland Dole, probably changed his name 50 times. He ended up never experiencing any supernatural things again.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Don't play with the Ouija board, man.
Yeah, and one thing is, crazy is that after the film blew up, they actually wrote a book about it first, and then it blew up, and then the film came out, and it blew up too, right? Mm-hmm. I guess my take on it is he didn't want that fame. Why would you want to be known as a person who was possessed, right?
Yep, yeah, I'm sure it was traumatizing too.
That's pretty. At the end of the day, it's pretty shitty to be known as a person. And now people are gonna question you. So did you your bone twist, or
especially something so scary to go through? Yeah.
Was it real or was it fake? Or did you actually levitate? You don't want people messing with you. And so. The crazy part is this, though, is that after all that incident happened, he hid himself. He remained anonymous, and he actually lived a happy life. He became some kind of scientist for NASA, the Apollo spaceship, and he ended up living a very good life. So
okay, and
he recently passed in 2020 at the age of 80,
rest in peace.
At the age of 85, he lived a life. He lived a life.
Whew, yeah. Man, I don't know how I would be like going through something like that.
That's crazy.
I'll be those people who cannot handle anything scary.
One thing I understand why the name changing too is it's kind of like us Hmong people when we you kind of change your name to forget the past of
so that if you were haunted, that haunted thing can't find you.
Yeah, exactly.
You change your name.
And I think that I would say that he probably changed his name because of that more than anything else. Yeah,
I agree.
I would.
Ooh, that's pretty scary.
Yeah, and so it's something, but at the end of the day, it's hopefully. I mean, I'm glad he lived a life after that and got to do whatever he wanted to do. Became an engineer and for NASA and all that, but. That's the story of The Exorcist, and no, it wasn't a little girl. It was actually a boy, age of 13.
Damn.
I didn't know about that, really.
Crazy.
Yeah.
That's another classic supernatural lore.
Mm-hmm. It is, yeah, it is.
All right. Last story. It's a personal experience of mine. I wouldn't say it's necessarily super scary. I mean, I wouldn't want to experience anything on the level of The Exorcist. But, some of you may have read this story somewhere because I have shared it to a pretty popular ghost story Facebook page called Hmong Ghost Stories. So if you read it or it sounds familiar, it was me. So I'm going to try my best to explain it by memory. So this was back in my college days. I went to the University of Minnesota Twin Cities, and my freshman year of college, I stayed at a dorm called Comstock Hall. Comstock Hall, in my personal opinion, is like the best location or the best dorm location to stay at if you're in the Twin Cities campus, because it's right by the major buildings, so it's super close to potentially a lot of your classes. But this was one of the older buildings. Freshman year, I was through the dorm. I stayed in, I guess you can call it a program or community area. It's called Hmong House, meaning that our hallway are all Hmong people. If you don't know what Hmong is in ethnicity. Shout out to Sunisa Lee and Brenda Song, my uncle's girlfriend's wife's cousins. That's how I'm related to them. Yeah. But yeah, I stayed at Comstock Hall. Our whole hallway were the same race or ethnicity, Hmong. So that made it a lot easier for us to just befriend everyone in our hallway, to the point where sometimes some of us will leave our door open just to say, hey, feel free to come in and hang out, right? So we all got along pretty well. There was this one day, I think it was like a weekend. It was like probably early evening. I was in my room. I was alone. My roommate was out. Usually, you know, being that we are all friends in the hallway, people just go in and out. But I was alone. I was on my laptop or whatnot, just doing my own thing. Until suddenly, I see that there's a lot of people in the hallway. And so I'm like, oh, what's going on? You know, because sometimes all of us hang out and stuff, and it's pretty fun. So I go out, I look around, there's like people who live in that hallway and people who are friends that they don't live in the dorm, but they come out and hang out with us too. And there was like probably a good 15 people in the hallway. So I was like, oh, okay, let me come out and socialize and hang out with my friends. And then I realized the energy was off. Everyone was feeling kind of down. Everyone had like a down face expression, like maybe a little bit of sadness, but not that. But I was talking to people and they seemed pretty down, and I just thought, okay, maybe they have a mutual friend that passed away or something, so they're all down or something. So I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna be nosy about it. So I went back to my room, did my thing on my laptop, and I saw people grabbing pillows, right? Like pillows and blankets, and sometimes we'll go sleep in the basement of Comstock Hall just to have like a kind of sleepover and hangout. So I saw that, I'm like, oh, are they gonna have a sleepover again somewhere? So I went out like, hey, what are you guys doing? They're like, oh, we're gonna go to the basement and stay in the basement. So I'm like, okay, man, I want to join you guys too. Sounds fun, right? So I'm like, oh damn, let me come join you guys. And then one of my friends, I don't know if I should call him out. There's nothing bad to say about him. Great guy. I'll just say it. His name is Chinu. Shout out to you, Chinu. I miss you, man. Hope you're doing well. Super nice guy. So I'm like, oh, I asked them, oh, what are you guys doing? And they're like, oh, Kong, we're gonna go sleep in the basement. I'm like, okay. In my head, I'm like, hell yeah, let's hang out in the basement and sleep over. So I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna join you guys. And then he's like, no, Kong, I don't think you should join us. You should stay in your room. I'm like, huh? I'm like, okay. And I'm like, oh, why? What's going on? He's like, and again, I have the notion that maybe a mutual friend of theirs passed away. The energy was kind of off. Everyone seemed a little down or worried. And he was like, I don't think I should tell you, Kong, but just, I think it's best for you to stay in your room. So I was like, okay, you know, maybe I'm gonna give them their space. Maybe I don't want to get into that area that maybe they do have a mutual friend who passed away. I'm gonna not push them or anything. Okay, yeah, all right, I'll stay in my room. So they all went in there to do their thing in the basement, sleep over, and I know for sure I wasn't the only one in the hallway. Maybe like three people were in the rooms too. Mm-hmm. But that night I went to sleep, and I woke up in the middle of the night, and I heard like some loud screeching or like wood crackling noises all around my room. Like it'll go from the side of the wall to the ceiling to the other side, like just like wood curling, loud wood screeching noises, like stuff like that. Yeah. But then if you've been to Comstock Hall, it's a old dorm, but it's built really well, like really well fortified, where if someone were to stomp their foot upstairs, you're not gonna hear it. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, that's so weird, and so I just went back to sleep. And then a few days later, maybe a few weeks, I found out the reason why. And the reason why was, I don't want to call them out or anyone out, but we had friends who stayed literally... Oh, before I get there, my roommate also went with them. So it was just me. So again, in the room alone, just trying to be polite, not trying to step over boundaries or privacy. I'm like, all right, I'll just take that advice and I'll just mind my own business. But yeah, my roommate went with them. A few weeks later, I found out that our friends next door, they had a friend who stayed over that night. He didn't live in the dorm, but he was just a good friend. And supposedly he has the sixth sense. Like he's supposed to be a shaman or medium. And what happened that night was that in that room next to my room, they said that he got possessed.
Jeez.
And they had to help hold him down on the bed. And yeah, that's what happened. And I guess they were all just really frightened. Oh, yeah, they were all just really frightened. I think they were all just like, they felt devastated that was happening to that friend. And yeah, I mean, I did feel a little salty.
Well, you wouldn't want to see that though, would you?
I wouldn't, but I would want to know that that's happening next door. And I would not want to sleep next door to that, Oh
gosh.
Yes, so, I still love you guys. I don't have any bad feelings, but I was a little salty. Like, damn, like if this was a movie, you guys left me to die.
They would have told you. You would have knew it was coming too. You would have been like, all right, it's cool.
I guess it did work because nothing did happen besides those loud screeches that came all around my room.
So there wasn't like any screaming or anything like that?
No, I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear anything. I just remembered that early evening they were all just bunched out in the hallway, looking weird or like looking down or worried.
Okay, so my question is, what do you think caused that possession, or what do you...
Bro, I don't know, man. I mean, Comstock Hall is an old dorm, but I don't think it's haunted.
You think it's the spirit in that place, or do you think it's an outsider? Well,
I mean, when you're like supposed to be a shaman, right, exactly. You attract spirits, right?
Right, exactly.
So I think that's what it is.
Sheesh. Yeah. And I think he probably just went on a case, and yeah. At that point, anything can happen, I guess. Yeah. Well, that's...
How would you feel?
I mean, I guess you don't tell me now. You told me way later. That's all. You know what I mean? Don't tell me the day after, because I'm gonna feel uneasy.
I know if I did that to you, would say, fuck you, Colin. Should have told me.
Yeah, but I would have been like, I mean, I guess if you told me like a month later, I'd be like, oh shit, man, it already passed. It's cool. But don't tell me the day after, and then I'd be like, Colin, man, you could have told me, man. Like, I could have helped hold you down, bro. Jeez, that's crazy. That's a crazy experience. And you said you were a freshman, right?
Yep, freshman year.
Holy crap.
That was 2013.
They always give the freshmen the worst spot to live off of.
It is what it is.
Damn, you still remember that. I guess the past still haunts Call.
I mean, I don't experience much. Thank God. I don't want to be those guys that experience stuff, but I did experience a small handful of stuff that's thankfully not super scary. But I do love to hear other people's scary stories.
Yeah, so guys, if you're watching and you got this part of the podcast and you have any story that you want to tell, let us know. Reach out to us and we want to hear your story too, okay?
Yeah, I mean, they could submit your stories, I guess, or submit your stories. We can think through how that process looked like. Yeah. Submit it through our, I guess, email, ghostxppodcast@gmail.com, or just message us on our Facebook page. For now, I guess.
And we can also link up our Discord in the description, so you can tell your story. There's a story section in Discord where you can write your story in, and we'll read it on the next time when we go.
Yeah, and
live on a podcast.
Let's say if we do think it's good, maybe we can have you on for like that story or whatnot.
Yeah, exactly. We'd love to hear your story, guys. So this podcast isn't just about me and Carl. We love to hear from the community and other people that hold a prestigious position in their religion. So we're always out looking for people. So if you're interested, let us know about your story, your personal supernatural experience, and we'll love to hear from you. So
all right.
Yeah. Thank you so much for well, let's do one last toast.
One last toast.
Cheers. I guess we say not a toast, but a cheers to for you for making it to this part of the podcast.
Yeah. So thank you guys.
Thank you. Peace.